Parker, experienced in all, continued to showcase his successes all these years. And recently, he accomplished another feat as he made $364,000 in gold after getting a rookie operator to move Slucifer. What lies behind this tale? Let's find out. Parker Schnabel finally found himself on the verge of a breakthrough in the hard-hitting world of gold mining. Having millions invested in securing the Dominion Creek claims, financial pressure was on him. With a huge $15 million hanging over his project already, coupled with daily operational costs and urgent needs for repair work, Parker wasn't sure how to get out of this trouble. The possibility of a $160 million payday in the Dominion was a spark of hope, but the road to that payoff was spread with uncertainties. Parker understood that, under mounting pressures, the operation must continue long enough to make a big strike for a proper hit. He felt stressed and apprehensive after last week's failed attempt at sluicing a small area of Dominion, where false promises of gold were denied him. This became clear when he confessed that he was pretty stressed out about the whole thing. For the first time in a few years, he was kind of nervous. But the good thing was that he wasn't alone. He had a team that would stick by his side for as long as it took. As they say, you achieve big things when you work together. The team sets its eyes on the target. Everything rested on Tyson's shoulder to save the operating bodies. He leased the mining ground from Ken Tatlow and Stuart Schmidt and set out to the Herculean task of restoring the experience. To everyone's disbelief, the first cut turned out to be disappointing because it took much longer than expected. The pressure escalated as Parker acknowledged the urgency. He believed that Tyson could get up soon. They needed money to support them, and for that, they had to make this work. A crucial point came when it was necessary to shift to El Dorado. Parker's determination remained steadfast despite the difficulties associated with the preparation of the new site. He elaborated that while preparing El Dorado, he thought he had so much time, but realized it wasn't the case when he was trying to make the next plant pad ready. The combination of Parker's determination and the setting of operational dilemmas made it an interesting story. It was like I myself became part of the delicacies of gold mining and could see for myself the raw scale of effort needed to keep the operation flowing. As Parker faced the obstacles at El Dorado, everyone was left wondering whether Parker's determined drive would conquer the hardships and discover the gold reserves that could change the fortunes of his mining project. There was much at risk, and every step was a calculated risk in the merciless race for wealth buried below the ground. Along with Parker, Tyson too played a part in El Dorado. It was a pivotal moment in Tyson's life when he was faced with the monumental challenge of moving the wash plant at the El Dorado cut. They had everything except the luxury of time, as an impending deadline loomed over the operation. This project was due by Sunday, and becoming successful in this move made it the foundation that would spell its survival. This was a very high-risk situation. Tyson, realizing the seriousness of the situation, recognized that his wash plant had to prove the existence of gold soon for the operation to survive. The story entangled financial difficulties, operational issues, and the near-constant chase for the jackpot at Dominion in a fusion of obstacles that needed careful maneuvering. The financial background brought an additional layer of complexity to the storyline. The operation, a financial puzzle in itself, was conducted under a cloud of potential debts and logistical overheads. The planned move of the wash plant was never just a logistical problem. It was to be a critical point that would allow them to ease the financial burden by generating much-needed revenue. El Dorado Cut was not just a change in geographical location. It was a potential gateway to the much-coveted treasures buried beneath the earth. I can't help thinking, will this strategic move lead them to the gold deposits they were searching for? Or will it prove to be a serious health risk in the crazy journey of gold mining? In the middle of this white-knuckle story, one could not help but wonder, would Parker Schnabel's huge gamble pay off, or would the press of increasing financial responsibilities and operational obstacles satisfy his dreams of finding a gold mine? As the storyline developed, all were at the edge of their seats, wondering whether Parker's gold mining business was going to enjoy the huge bonus that lay in those Dominion $160 million paydays. Parker Schnabel was in a dire situation in the world of Dominion, where gold is the king and fortunes can change at a dime. The dream of unattainable gold has reached a turning point. It was accompanied by financial hardship in order to stay afloat with the operation. As the sun relentlessly burned blazingly, discussions revolving around the difficulties being faced by the seniors surfaced, and the red-hot heat came across as a genuine part of the story. Casual conversations about life in Dominion almost always increased to conversations about the constant presence of scorching heat, which had almost made its home in this region. I can't help but wonder, what's life like under Dominion? The answer, as simple as the question itself, eloquently describes the harsh environment these miners have to endure every day. On being asked about this, the team gave various replies. One said it wasn't bad, flavoring it slightly with a taste of resilience. There were sunny skies there, which was a plus point. It was a typical conversation you might have with a person about the weather. But the casual words suggested a reality of a completely different order than normal. Dominion means sovereign, and it often finds its terms dictated to those who are seeking the treasure buried beneath its soil. Another view of the surroundings nods toward the brutality hidden behind the brightness. One found that it was extremely hot there. The choice of words gives the text a dash of causal realism, underscoring the oppressive heat that saturated the air. It was not just a casual remark about the weather. It was a mutual feeling, an acknowledgement of the hardships overcome in the search for the Earth's treasures hidden away. I believe hardships are part of a journey. Parker and his team's determination certainly require some recognition. The recent upsurge in temperature has raised the bar for tolerance limits. This rather ordinary conversation revealed the cruel circumstances these people had to endure, working from dawn to dusk under the scorching sun. Living in Dominion isn't always about bright skies. It is about facing fierce heat that is unbreakable and harsh, and has somehow become a part of them. The allusion to the brutal heat was a subtle nod to the difficult circumstances they faced, shared by all sweating in the quest to find the hidden treasures. The next step was to start sluicing there, but it wasn't confirmed. There was anticipation in the air as the potential of beginning the sluicing process settled in. Sometime later, they revealed that sluicing wasn't going to happen because they had to wait for greater skill after moving the plant. Although the team was eager to start sluicing, it was strategic decisions that came first. The atmosphere in the gold mining operation had become one of intense tension as Tico, who was the force investing in operational efficiency, set a challenging goal. The narrative unfolded with a sense of urgency as the directive echoed through the mining site. As tension dripped from the tail, you could sense a tangible uneasiness, the impending sense of hardships, of coming conflicts that would characterize the struggle to come. Tico wanted the plant to start humming before the next morning. The focus then switched to Tyson, who had the daunting job of sliding slucifer around on an unsteady pole he found. This showed a fanatic upstream struggle against time, in which every millisecond mattered in fulfilling Tico's aggressive schedule. The tension of the situation ran through the pages, portraying the seriousness of Tyson's challenge. Tyson had to improvise slucifer on some leaning staff he could pull together. The diction clearly indicated the hasty sloppiness of the enterprise, even if one didn't know how to make learning staff. I, having become fully involved in the story that unfolded, am on the edge of my seat and am waiting for the hurdles that the moving of slucifer was bound to present. The pressure on Tyson became an important element of the story, a pivotal point of conflict that enriched the story with multiple dimensions. Moving slucifer was not a pleasant task and required a steady hand and plenty of skill gained over time. The challenges that were lying in wait on the horizon were evident, and the spectators couldn't but feel sympathy towards Tyson's seemingly impossible struggle against time and operational limitations. Tyson had to wrestle with an experienced hand shortage as he faced a difficult task. Last time Alec helped, Liam helped, and it seemed they were going to end up dragging Lucifer with Evan Kurtz, just a kind of operator, not familiar with the intricacies of moving a wash plant. Moving Lucifer. I wonder whether Tyson and Evan would be able to achieve this difficult task and return to the business of sluicing or not. There was intensity in the unfolding of this narrative. They couldn't wait to get up and go again. They had a lot to do. The stakes were high, and every moment mattered. The slinging up of components to slucifer and then pulling it down to the new pad with the 750 gave a hint of the complexity involved in the relocation of the wash plant. It was a sizable task, mainly because of the challenges in moving wash plants during times when even fewer hands were available. The narrative escalated an interesting twist as Tyson and Evan took on the task of carrying the pieces of Slucifer to its new location. I am caught in suspense and think, would this calculated gamble prove to be an intelligent investment for the gold mining concern? The pull of every drag of Slucifer forward became a defining instant in a universe in which each decision, right or wrong, could usher in or squash an entire term. This noticeable suspense hung in the air and created the atmosphere of anticipation which had its grip on everyone's attention. The story even subtly allowed the viewers to think about possible ends, putting them on the tips of their toes, while Tyson, along with Evan, faced the challenges of moving the essential machinery. It wasn't just a leap that was being calculated, but it was a symbolic gamble in the unforeseeable terrain of gold mining. Once Slucifer was pulled piece by piece, one could consider the stakes involved in sharing as much as a daring stunt. This narrative development as a dynamic journey required viewers to think about the operation's fate as well as the fortunes that played at the same time. It was barely the calculated leap with Slucifer, but every single decision made in the world of gold mining held the power to reshape the entire trajectory of the season. The story depicted the troubles of Tyson and Evan with considerable skill, making it clear that they were undertaking a very risky venture. In the universe of gold panning, success was hard to attain. Every step had to be thought through with precision. Slucifer moved closer and closer to its new destination, and it was easy to get a measure of what each drag of each step meant. But the suspense was not simply about the actual move. It paralleled the wider instability that attends the quest for gold. I'm so caught up in this plot that it makes me worry about the end. The wash plant move didn't appear to be successful. It relied heavily on the successful implementation of a plan on which lay impossible expectations. The tension within the story gave a reminder as to how unpredictable the gold mining is, and that every decision made in this profession could result in success or failure. Tyson and Evan approached the operation meticulously with the type of planning and preparation that required it. The narrative artfully plateaued on the edge of anticipation so that the audience could ponder the consequences of the exciting feat. The relocation of a wash plant wasn't just about moving a factory. It was about acquiring a windfall that was going to revolutionize the fortunes of the entire mining operation. Parker Schnabel faced a crossroads in the harsh world of gold mining, and he sought to convert the economic strain into a profitable turnaround. The stakes were huge, with $364,000 in gold assets. The journey to this part had been dotted with obstacles. After so long, finally, a strategic plan was emerging into the light. Tyson was the mastermind behind the operation under the spotlight, alongside his plan to move Slucifer, a 45-ton wash plant, into the 750 excavator. The use of the 750 excavators was part of Tyson's intelligent scheme to pull Slucifer for 300 yards down to its new wash plant pad. The major challenge was pulling the huge plant up a 25-degree heel, using the bucket of the excavator as an anchor and a lever whenever possible. The precision needed to accomplish this task was apparent, as the wrong move might spoil everything. I'm quite anxious to know how this will unfold. Tyson's frank confession lifted the veil off the sophisticated nature of the gold mining project. He bellowed that he'd never moved a wash plant with these people before. The story took on an element of high stakes, a true tale of survival. Moving a wash plant, Tyson warned, was not just a gathering of moving objects. It was a symphony of 1,000 different things that could potentially go wrong. It was a testament to the countless complications that seemed to make up this amazingly ambitious project. Tyson was entrusted with deep responsibilities that were revealed as they became privileged in the inner workings of the wash plant relocation. The picture of the coordination of such a complicated scheme that the narrative had painted was rather vivid. The wash plant, an essential component of the gold extraction process, was not about having a piece of equipment. It was more like a fine choir of interlinked parts, each requiring consideration to facilitate an easy transition. Cooperation among the team members was highlighted as a crucial point of interest, manifested through Tyson's recognition that success largely depended on collaboration among people. The relocation of the wash plant was not the work of one individual, but needing to have flawless coordination, communication, and a collective determination to the common purpose. The narrative, as such, subtly stressed the significance of working together in an area where everyone had a critical role to play in the journey to find gold. The intricacies involved in relocating a wash plant became a symbol of the larger difficulties intrinsic to the gold mining enterprise. This multitude of things that could go wrong reflected the uncertainty of the industry. Although this narrative was tied specifically to the wash plant relocation, it allowed one to ponder the intricate interplay between human and machine, underscoring the sharp coordination and union necessary in navigating the chaos of the operation. Tyson's words revealed the pressure of responsibility he had when talking about the heavy stakes involved in gold mining. The fact that he admitted that he never moved any wash plant with the current team before added an unexpected angle to the affair. The story subtly exploits the embedded danger in such an intricate task, and I can't help but wonder about the possible consequences. The gravity of the situation was evident as Tyson focused on the irreversibility of the move. He said that once the dragon was up there, no one could pull it down again. This added a certain air of inescapability to the operation. The team had one opportunity to pull off the stunt perfectly, and the success of the project relied on the cooperation of the members. As Tyson guided the rookie operator, Evan, through the complexities of the job, he laid out the details. He told Evan that at the start, they needed to make sure that the plant was right square with their pad. So they had one chance to do this, and they had to drag it up. Tyson was going to have to go over the bank backwards, so Evan really had to be his eyes there too. There will be considerable reliance on Evan's attention. Tyson stressed the importance of communication between team members as he outlined the plan for getting the plant on the superstacker pad. As Tyson and Evan started the risky endeavor of relocating the wash plant, the story became an exciting endeavor, immersing the viewers into the intense environment surrounding gold mining efforts. The accomplishment of the whole project depended on their ability to implement the carefully designed plan without a single mistake. Every careful detail, every thoroughly laid-out move was an essential part of the coordination of this high-risk move. Everyone was on the edge of their seats for the drama taking place. The air was heavy with anticipation as well. It echoed the noticeable tension on the way for the planned wash plant relocation. Parker Schnabel and his team were taking an important gamble, not simply a matter of completing a job, but the hope of a huge payout, a moment to beam. Speculating all this, a question arises in my mind. Would Parker Schnabel and his team earn a big windfall due to Tyson's carefully orchestrated move? The question lingered in midair, allowing one to hang on to their imagination without some sort of resolution. The story of Tyson and Evan, who had been so carefully prepared for the bold meal, unfolded as a key chapter that would determine the course of the entire season. As the pieces fell into place and the squad readied themselves to this bold move, the spectators became glued to the edge of their seats, wondering about the threats and gains of this risky stunt. The world of gold mining is unrolled in every carefully made step, providing everyone with the excitement of waiting for the resolution and the surprise of gold's search underneath the difficult ground of Dominion. Parker Schnabel was standing on the edge of all of this, on the threshold of a possible fortune, not just for him, but for his father as well, in the continuous difficult world of gold mining. This point had been achieved amid financial strain, operational problems, and a need to take many strategic steps. The 45-ton wash plant, Schnabel, that brought to them the promise of $364,000 in gold, hung large over their heads, and the success of the operation rested in the skillful moving of Schnabel under the careful auspices of Tyson and his team. A steep ramp was the path that Schnabel took to its new wash plant pad, and this in itself presented a challenge given the terrain. Tyson, aware of the period nature, used the 750 excavator, which was the best excavator available on site, to help carry the heavy Lucifer up the slope. As seen in the task, the complexity of the task was also real, as Tyson admitted that the ramp was quite steep, so they had to make it as gradual as they could. Another issue was that they were out of time. The story unfolds showing an incredible scene of courage as they try to bypass their opponent, but behind it lay the perilous danger of the operation. The angle of the terrain and the rudeness of the Washington plant contributed to a wave of tension in the picture. Readily presented with the challenge, I find myself swept up in it. My curiosity makes me wonder, will the 750 excavators be up to the task of overpowering this monstrous slope? With Tyson's ability to tactically operate everything at his disposal at the moment, the wash plant began a gradual but determined climb. The tension was tangible in the narrative from tiny steps towards the wash plant, and Tyson's main statement added to the complexity of the already tough challenge. He said they would use his bucket as a small crowbar there. He shared some insights into how improvisation and resourcefulness are needed when facing such unexpected obstacles. Lucifer, the wash plant of great fame, lived up to its heavy name, and Tyson gave his recognition of its massive size, thus adding a comic touch to the hard work. He joked around that Lucifer was really a big pain, emphasizing the elevation of the machinery they were wrestling with. Everyone at this point nearly suffers along the struggle and can sense the strain, the tense physical and mental effort it takes to put the Lucifer where it needs to be. The story, with its almost cinematic description of the team's work, went beyond the specifics of moving the wash plant. It became an ode to the brutal nature of gold mining, the battle between man and machine to demonstrate strength and precision. With each step that they climbed, the suspense increased, and the team found themselves troubled in the grips of the terrible challenge they faced. The temptation to think about the dangers and possible benefits brought a certain complexity to the storytelling, stirring curiosity. Tyson's cleverness in resorting to the bucket as an improvised crowbar highlighted the fact that survival in the unpredictable world of gold mining needed the gift of quick thinking and adaptability. For each inch Lucifer climbed, he went on symbolizing the greater meanings present in the gold mining project. The battles with gravity represented problems that can be readily found in a rough industry whose outcome is uncertain. The atmosphere of suspense made me think about the inseparable risks, the thin line between danger and profit, determination and temptation that characterized each step in the race for gold. As the chaps labored to set Lucifer at its ending position, the storytelling struck a note with the viewers. The strain, physical effort, and the clicking of the clock all played a significant role as they put across the feeling of desperation that gold miners went through every day. This suspenseful background made everyone anxious not only about the immediate result, but also about the outcomes for Parker Schnabel and his crew. Tyson was on the brink of disaster as he began to attempt to reverse the 72-ton excavator over the edge of the steep pad. There was a tangible level of precision needed, and Tyson made this pretty clear by saying that as much as he's square to it, that's all that counts. I can't help thinking, could Tyson navigate this fine line successfully, ensuring that the wash plant will be secured? Now that the wash plant was installed in its proper place, the story switched its focus to an even more important activity of installing the conveying and hopper feeder. Naturally, they did not overlook this crucial moment in the gold mining operation, which they knew to be a complicated process that required careful fulfillment. So the entire operation depended on the team, and their successful performance in this last stage became critical in ensuring the overall goal of a successful season in the Dominion. The narrative revealed the complexity of establishing the conveying and hopper feeder, illustrating the peculiarities that characterize the world of gold mining. Every component, every connection, had to be meticulously calibrated so that the material would smoothly flow through the wash plant. Being now familiar with Parker Schnabel and his team's troubles, this task was of such measure that it showed the viewers the scale it could reach during the general victory of the operation. The rehearsed nature of this stage resonated with the larger motif of accuracy that prevailed throughout the gold mining project. Everyone was fully aware of the exacting nature of detail required for the process of setting up the entire setup, knowing that one mistake may affect the whole process. As the team was doing its best in putting up the conveying and hopper feeder, the anticipation from the past steps of relocation of the wash plant was still high in the atmosphere. All were as emotionally involved in the storytelling and awaited the resolutions with suspense. Successful completion of this final stage would not only offer the end of the challenging endeavor, but also provide Parker Schnabel with the opportunity to achieve his big season goal. The success or failure of the entire operation hinged on the team's ability to handle the complexity of this critical configuration. Dominion mining venture and be effectively communicated by applying the necessary skill in the narrative. In light of the tribulations and victorious moments that the audience had witnessed up to this point, they were situated at the cusp of resolution, eager to find out if the team could pull out that last critical step without flaw. Conveying and hopper feeder evolves into a metaphor for the larger gold mining season. Every link made, every part set in its place was reflected in the complex endeavors and schemes that one had to work on in the uncertain environment of gold mining. The narrative had a subtle investigation of similarities between the technical details of the setup process and the team mentality required for overcoming the pitfalls of the mining industry. As Tyson noted that if the plant was off-level, they all knew the price they would pay in the loss of valuable gold from the sluice boxes. The story explored some dire implications of any slip. The audience was faced with the task of thinking whether or not painstaking details led to obtaining the gold, the prize that was unparalleled in terms of ultimate achievement in this hurtful challenge. The completion of the efforts resulted in that sense of preparedness and a feeling of achievement as the wash plant set firmly on the pad. If the installation of the conveyor and the hopper feeder had been a major event in its own right, it was a solid indication that the processing of gold was about to begin. I, having followed all the changes and unexpected turns of this high-stakes operation, couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. The story ended there, where the wash plant was poised for action, water streaming, recirculating, and processes being set to define the all-important auto system. The promise of gold lay in $364,000 and shimmered on the horizon. The challenges passed, and everyone now waited to read the next part of Parker Schnabel's saga. This move could be a game-changer for Parker, securing him a hefty payday and victory over the challenges of gold mining in Dominion. The task was big. The trophy was big. Having followed $364,000 in gold, he was making strategic choices like allowing a beginner operator to handle the most important job of moving Slucifer. The use of Slucifer in Gold Rush itself has significantly impacted the show and its viewers. The advanced technology showcased by Slucifer highlights the evolution of the gold mining industry and the innovative solutions employed by miners. The wash plant's high processing capacity has increased efficiency, allowing for quicker and more effective extraction of gold. This provides Parker's team with a competitive advantage over other mining teams, as they can process more dirt and potentially extract more gold. Slucifer's unique design and impressive performance attract viewers, making the show more engaging and entertaining. Not only that, the wash plant serves as an educational tool, teaching viewers about the gold mining process and emphasizing the importance of technology in the industry. Slucifer's presence adds drama and conflict to the show, becoming a central point of competition and tension between mining teams. Throughout the operation, Parker was very hopeful, but at the same time, aware that time was a relentless element that determined how fast they were making things. Parker's voice sounded urgent as he underlined the necessity to return to sluicing. He said they had no time to waste. They needed to return to sluicing. The clock was winding down, and every second mattered in their search for the ever-elusive gold that would determine the success or failure of the endeavor. Parker said that he was pleased with the way the move was set up. The narrative went ahead to look at the time that followed the rig move. Parker's remarked that it took some time to get everything sorted out, and it felt really, really good to be back sluicing again. I can't help but think, would this return to sluicing be the turning point? The event that faced the season with gold riches anticipated to redeem this seasonal fundraiser? Tyson then became the target, as he was the operator who faced the responsibilities of the delicate procedure of moving Slucifer. Parker's question about the performance of the machine also made this moment all-important. He said to Tyson that it was his machine they worked with, and they were then going to see how it did. Everyone was so interested in the result that they stood on edge to listen, realizing that only today's machine could determine the productiveness of the whole season. The disclosure of the golden assay produced both hope and mediocrity. That was sluicing. To save his operation from going through upheaval, Parker was pursuing a 5,000-ounce endonym. To obtain it, he wanted 300 ounces a week. For the team, this was at last payment, courtesy of the vice set by Parker, a 5,000-ounce season, $364,000. Afterward, the count by the number of ounces revealed an actuality that, while varying from the weekly objective of the group, was still an impressive pileup. The operation managed to go down from the predetermined goal by not less than 100 ounces. The matter-of-fact acknowledgement, without the sweetening of anything, brought a definite feel of the challenge in the storyline. Serving the team, Parker announced that they had a long way to go. The revelation of the community being miles away from the 5,000-ounce season was ruthlessly obvious. The narrative became resilient, where the challenges did not hide but were presented matter-of-factly. A long way to go echoed in the room, a quality of silence that was philosophical enough. They all wanted to explore the complexities of the recovery process. Finally, the confession of having been far below the planned ounces turned into a crucial episode in the story. It was not just an embarrassment, it was a challenge. a call to action for Parker and his team to get together, gather their minds, and brainstorm the next plot forward. The team, regarding the gold mining enterprise with such immediacy and focus, now turned aside in contemplation. Would Parker and his crew survive these difficulties and steer the operation back on course against all the odds, so they might not only survive, but achieve the ambitious season's goal? Parker showed gratitude for the company within the team. This recognition of the difficulties associated with their current operation, being located across various sites, satisfied everyone. He thanked the team for taking it seriously and acknowledged the pressure that loomed over them. I find myself asking if the different approach to dealing with the trade problems finally pays off or becomes a high-risk gamble. The idea switched from high on top of a mountain to sinking in the drowning of gold mining, depicting the emotional soar highs and soar lows of this occupation. The gold continued to stream in, but the financial load was as large as ever. Parker contemplated that the gold keeps pouring in, but once they throw that amount of money away, they can never have enough of it. It sparked ideas in the minds of the team, thinking about the tightrope this pursuit of wealth places into its balance of gains and costs. This tale ends with a practical outlook from Parker. He believed they had to simply hypertrophy each day at a time. Having journeyed with Parker Schnabel through the harsh challenges and triumphs of his gold mining undertaking, I've gotten myself embedded in the very unpredictability of this effort. The question continued as the season advanced. Would Parker's fortitude and tactical moves put him in the spot of securing the prized 5,000 ounce? Or would the weight of financial demands become too great? The answers are in the days yet to come, and we wait, breathlessly, for a new chapter in the Gold Rush story. Get yourself or your loved one a tough and durable phone case from our store. Our NYE Special Tough Phone Case is out for sale this new year. You don't want to miss this chance. We are getting so many amazing reviews on our products. Grab yours now by clicking on your screen or clicking on the first link in the description. Feel free to watch my earlier videos and subscribe for further revelations in this mysterious world.